Hello and welcome back to another week of Open Mic Night. So glad you guys are here. Tonight is all about Apple shortcuts. I think you guys will get a lot out of it, so stick around. All right, so like I said, welcome back to another week of Open Mic Night. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. My name is Mike Weger, and I'm your guys' host. And here on Open Mic Night, we take all of the Apple news, tips, everything like that. We make it all easy for the everyday person to understand. So if you're an Apple fan, you have found the right podcast, and we talk all about Apple news and everything like that. I'm a huge Apple fanboy, but I'm still reasonable. You know, I'm an Apple tech guy that I'll still criticize Apple a little bit, but I do love Apple products, and that is all we talk about here on Open Mic Night. First off, I want to thank Roger over at WLMNradio.com. If you guys are looking for other good tech talk like this, we stream live over on WLMN Radio, and then he replays the show throughout the week. So if you guys missed the show, you can always catch it over there. And so I just want to thank Roger over at WLMN Radio, and you guys should definitely go and check them out. If you guys want any information at all on the podcast, it's OMN for Open Mic Night, OMNpodcast.com. And you guys can find all of these subscription links, the show notes, everything over there. So definitely go over to omnpodcast.com for all of the information on the show. And if you guys are listening after the fact, we do stream live every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Central Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific over at omnpodcast.com/live. So welcome to any of you guys who are also listening live tonight. So as always, well, not as always, it was brought back just a few weeks ago. We brought back the live call-in feature. So if you guys want to call into the show, it is always open. You guys are always welcome to interrupt me, put in your 2 cents, ask a question. For whatever reason you guys want to call in, all I ask is that you guys keep it friendly, but I know you guys will. But the number for that is area code 402-915-0790. Again, area code 402-915-0790. So that is for the live call-in. So go ahead and call in at any time during the show. I would love to hear from all of you guys. All right, so tonight's show, like I said, is going to be all about Apple shortcuts. And when I say shortcuts, I actually, I was talking to someone about, they're like, oh, what are you doing your show on tonight? And I said, oh, shortcuts. And like, oh, like keyboard shortcuts. And I said, well, yes. Keyboard shortcuts are great, and those are fantastic, but that's not really what I'm covering tonight. What I want to cover with you guys is shortcuts, things you guys can use on your Apple products to make your life easier, to take a long process and make it shorter. There's a lot of things that I do on my Apple products that, could take a long time. It could take an hour for me to do. But I think I have a certain workflow in certain activities that I do that really make the process simple, easy, concise, and it just takes a lot of stress off of me and takes a lot of time-consuming aspects of my life. I don't have a lot of time. As you guys know, I'm a law student, I work, and this is just a really fun hobby for me. So I don't have much time. So in all of my activities, whether it's school, whether it's work, or whether it's podcasting, I need to be efficient in my work. And so tonight we're going to talk all about the different shortcuts, different applications, different things like that I use to make my life easier. And I think you guys could use as well to make your life easier. And so, but first, I do want to cover one big news story. So if you're new to Open Mic Night, we do like to cover a little bit of Apple news. And so as you guys know, the Apple Watch, the pre-orders are coming out this Friday. So this Friday, you're going to be able to go out, try on the Apple Watch at the Apple Store, and put in your pre-order. So this is obviously huge for Apple. I've spent a lot of time. I was going back and kind of listening to some of the old shows, and I realized how much I talked about how much the Apple Watch is going to change the retail experience at these Apple stores. But now the time is upon us. We're just a few days away from actually being able to see, feel, try on the Apple Watch. And the Apple retailers are just a few days away from having to change up the entire process of how they go about selling these devices to people. And so one of the big news stories that came out of this was that it's very apparent that Cook, the CEO of Apple, wants his employees to engage in the Apple Watch experience. And one of the biggest ways to engage, if you think about it, it's really hard to sell something that you don't know a lot about. Imagine trying to explain a device to someone or sell someone a $500 product that you yourself have not tried or do not wear, and especially because these products aren't out yet. It's not like the iPhone where, and nowadays when they were selling the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, it was very easy for them because everyone knows about the iPhone. And a lot of these employees already have the iPhone because there have been previous generations for years of the iPhone, and everyone's kind of familiar with it. Now, the trouble with the Apple Watch, and not really trouble, it's anytime you have a new product, but it's something that we haven't seen yet. Yes, we've seen wearables. We've seen a lot of wearables come out lately, but nothing from Apple. So no one really knows what the best aspects are of the Apple Watch. And what I think of when I try to, when you're thinking about selling something to people, there's a lot of things that you're telling them like, hey, when you do this in your life, this device will make your life easier. So when you're doing this certain activity, imagine doing that with an Apple Watch. Now, the hard part about that for the Apple employees is that a lot of them, actually all of them right now do not have the Apple Watch. At least the retailers don't. And so the news out of Apple is that Cook is actually giving his employees a 50% discount on the Apple Watch Sport and the Apple Watch. Now, he's also offering, I think, up to $500 off of the Apple Watch Edition, but obviously not 50% off. That would actually be quite a bit of savings on the $10,000 Apple Watch Edition. But I think it's fantastic because when you think about it, these watches come in, they start around $350. And if you can get your retail employees, to be in there at $175, I think that's actually a really good deal on one of these Apple Watches. And it's something that I think the Apple employees will actually use. And so they've said they've already had a lot of interest from the Apple employees. Cook just sent out this memo to all the employees. And so this is not just for executives. This is not just for people who work in Apple headquarters. This is really meant, he wants us to be for all of his retailers. So his people on the front lines selling these products to the customers, he wants them to get their hands on it and own it personally. So again, 50% off. So that's a huge savings for these Apple employees. And I think, there's a lot of thought around this. So yes, you want your employees to be able to be knowledgeable when they sell the product. But when I think of the popularity of products and how products catch on and how they just get rapid growth, it's by seeing the devices out in the wild. So when I go to over a buddy's house and he's got some new piece of technology and I see it and I think it's cool, and that's when I go and buy it. A lot of us, advertising, you can only go so far with advertisements and marketing. Yes, they work, and yes, they're great to get the word out about your product, but a lot of people, the word of mouth, the power of word of mouth, we've talked about that a lot. As when a lot of you guys, when I went over podcasting, when I covered podcasting and how certain podcasts grow, it's all word of mouth is huge. And because you trust the people usually that you engage with on a daily basis. So the people that I'm around every day, usually I trust their opinion. It's valuable to me. And if they're using a product, then I'm more likely to use that product as well. So I think even beyond in the retail store selling Apple Watches, I think he wants his retailers to quickly get access to this watch. So offer them 50% off. They buy the watch. They take it out into the real world. And all of a sudden, they're the first people with this Apple Watch. They're the people everyone's come to. Oh, is that the new Apple Watch? And they think it's really cool. And they're asking all the questions. And hey, can I try it on? So I think it's a great, great move by Apple, especially on a new product and especially on a new product that people are skeptical on. I think this is one of the first products from Apple that I think it's, for me at least, and from what I'm hearing from people, it's the first Apple product that's gaining this much skepticism. So a lot of people are very skeptical on the success of the Apple Watch, why they would need it, why the price is so high compared to other watches and wearables. And so I think it's just a very, very good move by Apple to just go in there and offer that 50% off from the employees. But I want to know what you guys think. If you guys, is this a good ploy? Is Apple admitting that they're not going to sell as much? What is it? Why is Apple offering 50% off to their employees? So as always, if you guys want to contact me, I would love it. You guys can tweet me at WegerTech, and Weger is W-I-E-G-E-R, I before E. A lot of people wanted to go W-E-I, but it's I before E, follows the rule, W-I-E-G-E-R Tech. So that's on Twitter. My email is mike@wegertech.com. But one of the best ways for you guys to get a hold of me and for you guys to engage in this community that we've built around Open Mic Night is to join the Facebook group. And so if you guys go to omnpodcast.com, and under the subscribe and social tab, there is a link right there to the Facebook group. So it'll take you right there. Feel free to join and ask all your questions. Post whatever you want in the group. We got a lot of good people posting awesome questions out there and also answering questions. So it's not just for me to answer your guys' question. It's for you guys to post a question out there and then for other people in the community to just help you out. So I really like having everyone over there on the Facebook group. So that's what I like a lot. So that's kind of the biggest news out of Apple right now. I think next week, as we move into next week and the week after, we'll start to get kind of these first reactions from people going to the Apple Store and seeing and feeling the Apple Watch. Now, obviously, this is just the pre-order, and the watches actually don't ship until late April. So, people won't have them in their homes, but people will be able to go to the Apple Store and play with them. And you can guarantee that I'm going to make my way to the Apple Store this weekend just to kind of play around and see if I like the Apple Watch. You guys know I've been back and forth on the watch and whether, it's something I think I would need or want even. And so I'm excited to go in and actually see it, feel it. I'm the kind of person that kind of need to see the item in real life. I'm not easily sold on tech specs or anything like that. So I think it'll be great to actually go in and to be able to see and feel the product. All right, so that is it for the news this week. Again, next week we'll have a lot more news, but it's kind of a slow week for Apple as they're ramping up for this Apple Watch pre-order date. And so we're just going to move right into the main topic tonight. So like I told you guys earlier, there are a lot of times in my life that I can take a very long process and make it shorter, make it cheaper, make it easier, whatever it is, but just makes my life easier. And a lot of that is done with my Apple products through different apps or settings or hidden, maybe not even hidden, but certain features of your Apple products that you guys might not use or know about right now. And so we're going to start out with, it's going to be a kind of a mix between your iOS devices and your Mac computers. But the first one, and I'm going to start out with this one because I think it's something that everyone deals with, at least a lot of people that I know. So a lot of us have multiple social media accounts. We have Twitter, we have Facebook, Google+, we have just a lot of Instagram, a lot of different social media, and a lot of times we do want to post maybe the same post to a lot of different social media sites. So maybe you have a photo that you want to share on Google Plus and Facebook, or maybe you have a status update that you want to post on everything. And really, there's a lot of apps out there that can do this, but I found one that I really like. It seems to work pretty well, be pretty consistent, and it's called Every Post. So Every Post, EVERY Post, and again, for you guys, these will all the links to these apps and devices that I'm talking about will be down in the show notes after the show. So if you're listening live, it'll be posted later tonight. But for those of you guys listening after the fact to the podcast version, these will be in the show notes down below. But Every Post is an iOS app, and I'm not sure if it's on Android or not. I actually don't think it is. I think it's only iOS. But it's very simple, basic. It's just like what I told you guys. So you guys connect in your Facebook account, your Twitter, your Facebook page even, your Google+, your Instagram. You connect all of your accounts. And then basically it gives you a blank editor. So you can write a post and then either add a photo to it or you can add even audio files. You can add in a bunch of stuff to this post. It's pretty much like a blank post screen with all the icons up top. And you just tap what social media sites you want to post to. And so, for example, before my show goes live every Tuesday, I like to post the link out to all of my social media. And instead of going to each individual site and copy and pasting and posting, Every Post makes it extremely easy. I just type it out, hit send, and it's posted to all my social media all at once. There's a couple use cases where this could be extremely easy for you, and especially if you are ever needing to post, maybe for work. A lot of people use Every Post when they post to their work sites. If you're in charge of social media at work and you need to do it quickly, the time that I find myself using Every Post the most is when time is of the essence. So I want to post that link 5 minutes before my show goes live. Well, I don't have a lot of time right before my show. I'm getting all the audio set up. I'm just getting everything going. And so using an app like Every Post saves me a ton of time. I believe it's free. Now, I do need to go back and check this because the problem is I got it a long time ago. So I think I actually might have got it when it was free. So it might cost a little bit of money. I'll check into that and I'll put the price down in the show notes below. So yeah, the first one is Every Post. So give that a shot. I think you guys will like it if you do have multiple social media accounts that you find yourself posting to a lot. All right, so now we are going to shift back over to your Apple computers. So whether you have a MacBook laptop, an iMac, a Mac Mini, just any Apple computer, these are going to be some shortcuts, some apps, and some built-in things to the operating system of your Mac that you guys might not know about. So this one was a tip that I learned a long time ago, and it's kind of a silly tip because it's something that, it's not fantastic, it doesn't do a lot, but it is kind of cool. It's not really even a shortcut, it just does make your life a little bit easier. So when you guys have your browser open, whether it's Safari or Chrome or Firefox, I'm sure that you guys have bookmarks set up. And a lot of us have our bookmarks in the bookmark bar. So right up at the top of your browser, you've got that bar with all of your bookmarks in it. Now, by default, let's say I go to a web page and I want to bookmark it. I hit bookmark this, and it comes up with the title of the web page, and then it's called a fave icon, but it's the little picture that you guys can recognize. The Facebook logo, the YouTube logo, that's what it puts right next to it. Now, this is great, and you can add the bookmark, and you're good to go. But the problem is you can only add a certain amount of bookmarks. So if I start adding my bookmarks along the top, you really only get maybe 4 or 5, if you're lucky, bookmarks before you run out of space. Now, obviously, you can still add them, but you have to click the drop-down arrow. But one little tip that I learned, and honestly, I wish I could give this credit to someone because I can't remember who taught me this little trick, but it's fantastic. If you want to be able to fit in a ton more bookmarks up there, all you do is when you go in and you add the bookmark into Chrome or Safari or anything, delete the title, delete the name, just don't have anything in that space. So when I ask you what you want the title to be, just delete it and don't put anything. And when you hit enter, what will happen is only the icon will show up in the bookmark bar. Now, obviously, that saves a ton of space. If you don't have all the words behind it, you can easily add probably 10 times as many favorites to your favorite bookmark bar. And so right now I'm trying to count as I'm looking at my screen now how many I have, but it's at least 25 to 30 different bookmarks in my bookmark bar, and all I have is the icon. Now, you don't need the title because a lot of times, if you have some websites that you go to that maybe haven't put an icon up, but most of the time, most sites do have a fave icon that's easily recognizable. I easily know my Facebook. I easily know my website, OMN. And so I'm looking at just some of them right now. I know immediately what those bookmarks are by looking at just the icon. So it was something I learned, just almost a silly little trick that I learned, but it made my life a lot easier. And especially because, okay, maybe not a lot easier. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I got to stop being so dramatic about it because all it is it's saving me one click from the drop-down menu. But for me, that's just one less click, and it makes it a lot easier. So again, just go in, and all you have to do, and you can even go in and edit these. So if you have all your bookmarks already, go into your bookmark manager, however your different browser does that. Go into your bookmark manager, just go into the title, and sometimes you'll have to click edit. Sometimes it'll let you just click right into the title and just delete the title. Now, don't delete the entire bookmark, but just delete the title. And I think you guys will like it. It was just a fun little trick that I learned that not many people, I found out, know about. And so, yeah, just a fun one for your browser so you can fit in a lot more bookmarks into your bookmark bar. Okay, this next one might take the cake for my favorite shortcut. I didn't save it for last. These are all just in random order. These are in no order and in importance or favorite or best or anything like that. But this one I think maybe takes the cake for my favorite shortcut app on the Mac. And actually, they just brought it to the iOS too. But what this is, it's called Text Expander. And so some of you might have heard this. They advertise on a lot of other podcasts. So if you listen to any other podcast, you might have already heard about Text Expander. But what Text Expander does is it really allows you to create, a shortcut for a long string of text or for even custom text. So let me explain what I'm talking about. So when I am putting together my show notes, so at the end of the show, I stop recording and I go to post it to my website, and I need my show notes, and I have a standard form for my show notes. I have my titles, and then I have all of my contact information below. Now, I could type that out every time, or I could, put it in a Word document and copy and paste it. But what Text Expander does is, so you open the Text Expander app, and I put all of that text in there that I need. So I have all my contact information. I put my main headers and leave space for me to insert, each week's data or each week's notes. And then all you do is you say, hey, what does your shortcut want to be? So for mine is :endnotes, because it's pretty much the endnotes of my show notes. So when I go into my browser and I type :endnotes, just bloop, it pops it right in there. It is the quickest, easiest way to add shortcuts to your life. Now, Text Expander is a lot more powerful than what I use it for. You can actually go in and you could do :date, and it'll put in today's date. You don't even have to program, you don't have to change it or anything like that. You just hit :date, it throws in the date. There's a lot of different options that you guys can customize with Text Expander. when you actually get it, they'll walk you through some different basic things you guys can use it for. But man, it is one of the most powerful applications, and one of those where I have heard about Text Expander for years. I mean, it's been around, I think, I don't even know how long it's been around for, but I've heard it advertised on my podcast for years, and I never tried it until about a few months ago. I think it was last November that I finally tried it, and you guys can do the demo, so you can get a 30-day free trial just to see if you like it, which I would suggest. Go ahead and grab it because I'm not sure how much the entire application is. It's not too expensive, but get the 30-day free trial because what you'll find is even if you don't think you'll use it too often, you'll be going through and you'll find yourself doing repetitive text. Maybe you're at work and you always put in your custom header, or you put in your signature on certain things. And maybe because the problem I run into is when I put my signature in, I have to add that signature to all the different ways I use email on my phone, on my iPad, on my work computer. And if you just have Text Expander installed on all your devices, because they are on iOS now, makes it super simple. You just, you could have it, and it's all customizable. So you could do :signature, and then it'll just throw in your custom signature. There's just a lot of ways when you find yourself entering that repetitive text, like, man, I have actually typed this every day for the past 2 weeks. Then you're like, oh, well, I have that demo of Text Expander, and you open it up, you add it in, and I think you guys will find that you'll end up using it a lot more than you think. But Text Expander is one of those that it's just necessary. When you start using it, you can't live without it. So you'll end up having it on all of your devices. Actually, our computers at work are locked down, and so you can't add any applications that aren't approved by the company. And I still find myself, I'll be in there, and I will do my shortcut for date. I will do :date, and then I was like, oh, well, I don't have Text Expander on this computer. So one of those that you guys will end up really enjoying once you have it installed. And again, for a 30-day free trial, you might as well give it a shot. But I have it installed on all of my devices and my iOS device, which you might actually even do more repetitive typing on your iOS device than your computer. If you think about all the things you type in text messages or emails on your phone, that might actually be a more useful spot for it than on your computer, because a lot of us are moving to doing everything on mobile now. So that is Text Expander. All right, so the next one is a keyboard shortcut. So I told you guys that I was not going to focus on keyboard shortcuts, but this is one that I've found that the majority of Apple users, the majority of everyday Apple users, don't know how to take a quick screenshot or take a screenshot at all of their computer. So screenshots are valuable, whether you're doing a tutorial, whether your computer's broken and you're trying to show your IT guy or your son, your whatever it is, whoever's helping you, you want to show them what's going on. Taking a screenshot is a valuable tool to have on your computer. And Apple actually has it built right in. Now, a lot of people know that Grab is the application on the Mac that takes the screenshot. So a lot of people that I've seen will go open the application Grab, do a new capture, and away they go. Now, that's great, but that is a few more steps than necessary. So I'm going to teach you guys just 2 quick keyboard shortcuts that you guys can use to take screenshots. Now, there's 2 different types of screenshots that you guys can do with these shortcuts. So one of them will capture your entire screen. So if you want to take a screenshot of your entire screen, the entire thing, then what you're going to do is you're just going to do Shift+Command+3. So if you hold them down. So hold down Shift, hold down Command, and then tap 3, and you'll hear a almost shutter sound on your computer, and then it will put your new screenshot right onto your desktop. So it'll just be a little image that you can look at on your desktop, and then you can email that, send it in a text message, whatever you want to do after you've done that. So Shift+Command+3 takes a screenshot of the entire Mac. Now, the more useful one, I think, because a lot of times I have a lot of stuff going on, especially on my iMac, where I have a lot of screen real estate. So I have all different sorts of windows open, and I don't want the entire screen. I just want maybe a screenshot of the error message I'm getting. So I just want a little tiny box. If you guys actually hold down Shift+Command+4, so Shift+Command+4, if you hold that down, so hold Shift, hold down Command, and then tap 4, you'll notice that your cursor has all of a sudden turned into a little crosshair. So you got a little crosshair on your cursor. If you click and drag, so just click in one area and drag and make a box of what you want to grab, as soon as you let go of the click, so click and hold, and make your square on whatever you want to capture. As soon as you let go, again, it'll take that screenshot and put it right onto your desktop for you guys to use however you want. And so, again, these are just 2 keyboard shortcuts, but 2 that I found that a lot of people actually don't know exist. And so Shift+Command+3 and Shift+Command+4 is all you have to remember. And I still find myself not remembering which one is which, but you'll figure it out after you take a few screenshots. But it saves you a lot of time rather than going in, finding the applications, going to grab and taking a screenshot. This will just be a lot quicker for you guys to use that keyboard shortcut to take a screenshot. And trust me, if you are doing it for the reasons of you have a trouble and you're sending it to your IT guy will appreciate a nice screenshot. It's just the easiest way to find out what's going on with your computer and how he can help you. And yes, I know that from personal experience. So, all right. So the next one is interesting, and I will admit to you guys that I have not played with it as much as I would like to. But I'm actually going to open it up right now so I can talk about it because I really like it, but I haven't gotten to play with all the different features because it's relatively new. So it's an app on your iOS device, on the iPad or the iPhone, and it's called Workflow. So it's interesting. If I can find it here, I'm going to open it up. So I believe it's about $5 or $6 on the App Store. But what you can do, what Workflow does, and it sounds just like what it does, is it creates different workflows for you on your phone, and it takes a bunch of different steps that you would usually do and just does them all at once. So the example I'm going to give you is the one I actually use it for the most. And so if you ever need to send your ETA back to someone who's at home. So for example, if you're at work and you want to let your wife know that you are going to be home, let's say, you want to just tell your wife, hey, I'm leaving the office right now. I'll be home in, let's say, 15 minutes. So there are these custom workflows. And what they do, they're actually a lot more advanced than you would think. But what it does is, so when you open the workflow, so when I open my home ETA workflow, first of all, what it's going to do is it asks you for the address that you're going to be going to. So that is your home. So your home obviously isn't going to change. So you plug in your address of your home. And the next option it gives you is, hey, do you want me to get the travel time for you? So live travel time. It goes to Google Maps and it finds out where you are and where obviously your home is and how long it's going to take you to get home. So that's awesome. So it does that automatically. So yes, I want that. And then obviously there's some other stuff, so you can set some variables. So then that variable is travel time. So then you filled that from your different workflows. So it looks, if you guys are watching the live video, it looks a lot like Automator used to look. So it's just a screen that has a bunch of different options. And as you scroll down, you start to fill in the next step, and it's going to work through the entire workflow all at once. So then the next step is it says, hey, do you want me to send a text message with this information? So I said, yes. So in my text message, I said, hey, I'm leaving now. I'll be home in, and then you plug in that variable called travel time. And then you add in your texting or email recipients to the end of the workflow. So at the end of this workflow, so it's how many steps is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that I would usually have to do. And this would take me a while, going to Google, getting my travel time, opening up a text message to my wife, throwing it all in there. And that just takes a long time. And to be honest, it's something I wouldn't normally do. But now that I have this workflow, all I do is I open up the app and I hit the workflow. I just hit home ETA and it does it all for me within seconds. And it doesn't even prompt me for the text message. It just does it all on its own. So as soon as I'm leaving work, I can open up my app, tap it, put my phone back down, and then my wife knows exactly how long it'll be until I get home. Now that's obviously just an easy demonstration workflow. That's kind of why I used it, just for you guys to get the idea of what the workflow app can actually do. But when you look at the different workflows, so there is a gallery on the app of the, kind of the most popular workflows. There's a lot of them. So top news stories, time machine photo, where it takes, it takes photos and it pulls in the date from them. It can bring back certain photos from a different time from like a year ago or 2 years ago. Recording to Evernote, making photos a GIF. So surprisingly, this app is $5. A lot of the apps I've seen out there that are GIF creation apps, if you guys don't know what a GIF is, it's kind of those, you put in a bunch of photos and it makes a little movie out of it. Then this one just does it automatically. You just put in the photos you want and it makes a GIF right there for you. There's also one called Upload Last Photo to Dropbox. So instead of opening a photo, sharing, opening the Dropbox app, and uploading, you can literally just open up your workflow app and tap that, and it'll upload whatever last photo you took right to your Dropbox. Speed dial, tip calculator, image of the day, getting an Uber home. So this one can actually just request an Uber home for you, and it just plugs all that information in. Find the nearest coffee shop. I mean, there's just I can just keep scrolling through workflow. Image roulette, AirDrop my screenshot. So if you take screenshots and you want to AirDrop it right away, it makes it really easy for that. Share availability, so it knows from your calendar. So the nice thing about workflow, so let me kind of get back to the main features of workflow, is that workflow, now that iOS 8 allows interconnectivity between apps. So now that apps can talk to each other, each app isn't sandboxed into its own world. So now these apps can talk to each other. So the great part about Workflow is that it can pull in data from all of your different applications, your calendar, your photos, your Dropbox, all of that sort of stuff. So when I say, hey, share my availability out, and whether that's to an email or to a text message, it pulls it from my calendar, knows that I'm available, and can shoot that right out to whoever I want it to do. So it could be extremely useful in the business world, in the personal world. It's one of those apps, though, that honestly, I listened to an entire podcast about it over at Mac Power Users. Fantastic podcast, by the way. If you guys like Mac stuff like this and you want to go drill more in depth to like one issue, check out Mac Power Users because they're a great podcast. And they did a very, very good job going over all of the details and getting into the nitty gritty. I mean, it was like an hour-long show on Workflow. But really, it was one of those that I listened to that and it was good. I got a great idea of it, but I didn't discover kind of how often I would use it until I just went in and bought the app. And on the iPad, it's extremely nice too. So I have it on both my iPhone and my iPad. But again, a lot of these shortcuts, the thing I find about shortcuts is that no matter how often you hear about them, you don't end up finding out how useful they are until you use them in your everyday life. So just like we talked about with Text Expander, and with some of those other ones, Workflow is the same exact way. It's one of those that you won't really discover the full power of until you actually use it. So the sad part, though, about Workflow is obviously there's no such thing as the free trial in the App Store, so there's no such thing as going out and trying Workflow. And it is a little pricey for an app. I mean, when I say pricey, it's like $6, so not bad. But I think definitely worth it. 2 of your coffees, and then you'll have a fully rich workflow application on your phone. It's relatively new too, so I'm guessing it's only going to grow from here. The options and the different workflows that are available will only expand from here. And the best part about it too, so I was telling you guys all the different workflows, is that you guys create your own. So, it tells you all the different things it can pull from, your photos and everything like that. So if you have your own custom workflow that you do, maybe every day you're opening up a photo, you're emailing it to this person, and then you're going to edit it, make it a GIF, and ship it out to someone else. I don't know. I'm just thinking here. Maybe you have a crazy workflow that you do every day. Workflow might be able to make that all just a tap of a button, and that's what I love about it. Like I said, with the home ETA thing, I never really texted my wife before to tell her how long it's going to be, but sometimes it is nice. Sometimes if she's making dinner, a lot of times if she's making dinner and she doesn't know what time I'm going to be home, just being able to have that right there where I can tap it and it sends it off to her. It's super easy, super convenient, and so just another one that you guys will like once you try it. So that is Workflow. The next one, a little shortcut, and I've talked about this on the past show, but just actually last night, I believe. Was it last night? Yeah, last night. I was with some people, and someone was taking a selfie of the group. So they wanted a big picture of all the people at the event. And so the person was taking the photo with their iPhone, and they were trying to tap the photo button on the screen, the little capture button when you use the photo on the iPhone. And I just told them, hey, did you know there's actually a shortcut to make that easier? And so there's 2 different shortcuts I want to tell you guys about just to snap a quick photo. So this is just a quick one. But when you have your camera app open, and if you're trying to take a photo, and this works when you're using the front-facing or the back-facing camera, if you tap the volume up button, it will snap a photo. So I know, again, for you guys who are listening to audio, you can't see me right now, but for those of you guys watching the video, so this, holding the phone with 2 fingers, one on top, one on bottom, and just being able to tap that volume up button is a lot easier than trying to kind of hold the phone and then try and tapping the phone button with your thumb. And so that is one way you can do it. Also, the other way, if you kind of want a hands-free way of taking a photo, is if you have headphones, like I have right here, if you have the Apple headphones that are plugged into your iPhone, the volume up button on the headphones will also take a photo. So the volume up button on the actual phone and then the volume up button on the headset, both will snap a photo. So just maybe something you guys might use when you're trying to really extend your arm out there to take those selfies. I don't know, something, but just it's a fun shortcut, and it does make it a lot easier to take photos, especially when you're trying to reach your hand around and kind of holding the phone in an awkward way. So that's the volume button. So the next one is by far the most powerful built-in shortcut on the Mac computer. And it's been around for a while, and I still find that a lot of people don't use it. And that's fine because, it's something that you might not even notice on your computer, but Spotlight on the Apple computer. So we're back to the iMac now, or the Apple computer. If you have any Apple computer, there's the Spotlight, which is going to be in the top right-hand corner of your screen. And so right next to, depending on what operating system you're on, if you're back on Lion, it's going to be different. But right to the left of your notifications icon is the little spotlight, and it looks exactly like a little magnifying glass. So you click that spotlight, and it was updated in Yosemite to kind of just be this floating text box in the center. But for those of you guys who are on older operating systems, it might actually just drop down a little search box. But either way, it's the same features on both operating systems. So you have this spotlight search thing. So what do you use it for, right? How would I use this? For anything. I'm talking if you need to find anything on your computer, whether it's an application, whether it's a document, a PowerPoint presentation, a song, a video, anything that's on your computer is indexed and you can search it through the spotlight. So let's say, and it does do a little bit of searching through the document. So if I'm saying, oh man, I did a paper last year on, I did a research paper on law school stuff. So I know that I had the word contract in there. So if I just search contract in my spotlight search, it'll bring up all the documents or anything that has the term contract in it. But what I mainly use this for is actually to launch all my applications. Anytime I need to open any application on my computer, I just tap Spotlight and I start, because as soon as you start typing, it'll give you suggestions. So if I just type ITU, iTunes is the first one. If I want to open my text expander app, text, TEX, and it's already there, text expander. Quickest way to just open anything on your computer. Now, I'm not sure if this was around in Mavericks, because honestly, I just started using this little shortcut. But what you can do is in your system settings and under Spotlight, you can actually have a custom shortcut to open the Spotlight. So for me, mine is Command Space. So if I hit the Command Space, then I can just start typing right away. So Command Space and just start typing, hit Enter, and I've launched an application in less than a second. I mean, Command Space and just start typing the first 3 letters, and usually it gets it right. It's just one of the quickest ways to launch applications, to find things on your computer. But Spotlight is a lot more powerful than that. There's some hidden little features in Spotlight that you can do. So if you find yourself needing to do simple math equations, I am finding myself all the time, I'm needing to do just, like division or a big math problem that I just can't do in my head. You can do that right in Spotlight. So if you go to Spotlight, just a simple one, let's say 2 + 2, and it gives you the answer, 4. So instead of going in and actually opening up your calculator and doing it that way or doing it on your phone, you can do math equations in Spotlight. You can do a lot of really cool things in Spotlight. And so again, if you want to create that shortcut like I have, the Command Space, just go into your system preferences on your computer, and there will be an option for Spotlight. And so it's in the top row of the apps, kind of towards the right side. So hit Spotlight. And then on the very bottom, you'll see Spotlight Search Keyboard Shortcut. And so you check that, make sure it's on, and then you can tell it what you want it to be. You can create your own shortcut no matter what you want it to be. And so it's just the fastest way, best way to find anything, to open anything on your computer. So go ahead and try out Spotlight. And what I found out recently, another great Mac podcast, keep listening to mine, I guess, but if you guys want another great one, Mac Geek Gab, they drill into really in-depth issues on the Mac. What they have is all of their listeners send them in deep, kind of long-winded questions, and then they go through in a deep dive and kind of solve their problem. But what they found out is if you're in Spotlight and I want to open a document, so let's say I have a document here that I find, and if you guys hit Command R, it actually will pop you into the Finder. So the difference, the Finder is where you go and you actually find all your applications. You can open folders. Everything opens in Finder. So if you find what you want, if you find an application, instead of hitting Enter to open it, if you just hit Command R, it'll take you to that location and highlight that document in the Finder, which is kind of nice, kind of a nice little addition. So that if you just Google Spotlight keyboard shortcuts, there's a lot of other things you can do with Spotlight. So a lot of other shortcuts in there that are kind of great, kind of just simple to use. And so give that a Google search and you'll find those. But first of all, just start using Spotlight. If you haven't used Spotlight yet, definitely go in and start using it. Best way to find stuff on the Mac. All right, so the next one is a shortcut for sending things between your devices. Now, if you listen to this show 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, 2 weeks, we covered AirDrop, and we went into kind of how to do AirDrop and what it is. But I'm going to cover it again just because it is a shortcut, an easy way to send documents between all of your Apple devices, whether it's an iPad, iPhone, computer, whatever it is. AirDrop now, if you're on the latest operating system on both your computer and your phone, you can send files no matter what device you are on. The funny thing about that is I actually did a tutorial video about 2 years ago on AirDrop, kind of when AirDrop was first starting to get big. Now, back then, AirDrop was limited to computer or iOS device to iOS device. So you couldn't send something from your phone to your computer via AirDrop. And actually now, since they've updated that, now you can do it no matter what device you have, whether it's a phone or a computer. That video is outdated. I should probably take it down because all the comments have been recently like, oh, well, that's not correct. The stuff's outdated. I'm like, well, I did create it 2 years ago. So one of those funny things, I should probably take down the video, but maybe it's still helping some people who are sending files between computers. But when you open AirDrop, you can send photos, you can send contact cards, you can send documents and files. One of my callers actually put in the chat, or one of my viewers actually put in the chat that week when I did AirDrop, he said him and his coworker send like large files, like 5 gig video files back and forth on each other over AirDrop, and it's the quickest and easiest way. A lot of times when you're wanting to send a big file, you're like, okay, do I email it? Do I iMessage it? But if it's a really big file, sometimes you can't even do either of those. So AirDrop just kind of solves all of those problems. Now with AirDrop, you do have to be either, if you're on an iOS device, you can be close to each other, but it's just best if you're on the same Wi-Fi. So I would suggest being on the same Wi-Fi. It will work if you're not. I gave an example a few weeks ago where my sister and I were out of the country and we were both taking photos on our phone and we were able to share them back and forth even though we never had a data connection. So we didn't have Wi-Fi or we were walking around a foreign country. All we had was Bluetooth. So it will work over Bluetooth. But if you want the best speeds, if you're sending big files, I would suggest being on the same Wi-Fi network. So if you guys want all the details on AirDrop, you guys can go to omnpodcast.com and scroll through, and there is I think it's 2 episodes ago. It might be OMN 43 was all about AirDrop. So, and if I got that number wrong, now I'm starting to second guess it. But yeah, it's back there. You'll find it. So that is AirDrop, one of the quickest ways, best shortcut to sending files ever. Well, it has to be between Apple devices, but it's just the best, easiest way. So definitely try that. Next time you go to send a little photo to someone, if you're right next to them, try AirDrop. Give it a try. I think you'll like it. All right, so we are down to 2 more different little shortcuts here. So we've got 2 more. So the next one is the Spacebar Preview. Now this is one that, again, is one of those features that's built into the operating system on the Apple computer side, so your MacBook and your iMac, or your Mini, or your Pro, I guess. Now there's 4. So if you are anywhere on your computer, whether you're in the Finder, on your desktop, if you're searching through something, anywhere where you can click on a file, if you click the space button, it'll actually give you a preview of that file without opening it. So if you're on a photo and you click a photo, so I can click a photo here, you guys can't see it, but I click spacebar, and it opens up a rather large preview of what that thing is. So this is great, especially if you're looking for a document or a PDF, something that doesn't show a live preview. Photos you can actually see just really small in the thumbnail, but for documents and PDFs, fantastic. You can be scrolling through your Finder, just click spacebar real quick, and if you click spacebar and actually just use the arrow keys, the preview will just update as you go down in the Finder. So if you're looking for that one document or that one PDF that had something, it's a great way to quickly see what is in those documents without opening each one individually. And that is as easy as spacebar. So there's nothing, no command, no shift, no anything like that. Just click on it and click spacebar. The other way I like to use that is on my videos. So, obviously by default on the Mac, when you want to open a video, it's going to open it in iTunes. So it imports it into iTunes and then starts playing. And then you've got 2 copies of this file because now it's copied over into your iTunes library. So you've just taken up more space on your computer. There's just a lot of downsides to that. Plus, it takes a little bit longer. So when I am ever hovering over a video file, obviously when I export this podcast to into video quality, if I want to just kind of quickly just make sure everything came out all right, quickly make sure it's smooth or anything like that, or if I'm trying to figure out which video I'm looking at, you can also use Preview. So Preview will work on videos as well and music. So it's not just for static text or a photo. If you click the spacebar, open the Preview, you can watch the video, you can listen to the song, whatever it is you're previewing. So that is the Spacebar Preview on the Mac. Again, another really useful thing that I think a lot of people don't know about on the computer. All right, so the final one, like we talked about kind of with workflow, on iOS 8, they allowed certain apps to talk with each other. So if I'm in my Photos app and I want to edit that photo in a different photo editor app on my phone, usually what you'd have to do is you'd have to open up that app, the new app, and import that photo in, and then you can edit it. But one thing I've been playing with, because there's a lot of different ways certain apps interact that you actually don't even realize, is the way this works is the share button. So it's the little square with the arrow pointing straight up. So anytime you see that little icon, tap it, and then when the thing opens up, when the little slide bar opens up from the bottom, obviously you can text message it, you can email it, the normal array of things that we've always had. But now underneath that, there'll be a list of apps that you can do something with. So maybe you're in Pages on the iPad and you want to share that out and you want to open a different app. If you tap that share button, you can actually scroll through and see what other apps will accept that type of item, will accept that document that you're editing. Just something that might save you guys a little bit of time, or even might add in features that you didn't even know existed, with being able to open up certain things and go from app to app. It's a little bit wonky to explain, but if you're taking something from one app and wanting to open it in another, usually that share button, and if you slide up from the bottom and you can kind of scroll through, you can quickly open it in any other app. For example, the way I use this the most is when I am uploading photos to Dropbox. So when I have my photo open, or if I'm uploading a document to Dropbox. So if I'm using Pages and I want to upload this to Dropbox, if you tap that share button and you click Dropbox, it'll actually open up a little window and it'll say, where do you want to save it? So you choose your folder in your Dropbox and click upload or send or whatever, okay, done, whatever it is. And then your file will upload straight to your Dropbox right where you told it to, and it's 2 clicks instead of having to open the Dropbox app and clicking import. So just a little easier, a little less clunky. But then again, that's the entire focus of tonight's show. So that is all of these shortcuts. Man, we covered a lot of stuff tonight. So just in a quick overview, Every Post is an app that allows you to post to all of your social media sites all at once. Chrome Bookmarks and Safari Bookmarks. So remember that when you're creating a new bookmark in your bookmark bar, you can just go in and delete the title, and then it'll be just the icon, and you can fit a ton more bookmarks into your bookmarks bar. Text Expander. Text Expander is the app that's on iOS and Apple that allows you to automatically plug in large chunks of text or the date or anything by simply entering a little shortcut. So check out Text Expander. There's the 30-day free trial on that. Taking a screenshot with your Mac. Just remember Shift+Command+3 or Shift+Command+4. Those will automatically take screenshots of your computer and it'll put them right onto your desktop. Workflow is an app for iOS that is on the iPad and the iPhone. It's an app that allows you to kind of just take a lot of different data on your phone and something that would take 10 steps and turn it into just one button tap. So that's Workflow. Again, I think that's around $6. The volume button to take photos on your camera. So if you're on the iPhone and you want to take a photo without tapping the button actually on the screen, you can tap the volume up button on the phone, or if you have your headset plugged into your phone, you can also tap the volume up button on your headset. Spotlight. On the Mac, Apple computers, Spotlight is in the top right corner, or you can set a keyboard shortcut to it. Basically, it is the easiest way to launch applications, to open files, to search your computer for anything, to do simple math equations. Extremely, extremely powerful is Spotlight, and that is already built into your system, so you already have it for free, so you might as well try that one out. AirDrop is the quickest way to share files between all of your Apple devices. No matter which device you have, as long as you're up to date on your software, you should be able to AirDrop files between your devices with ease. And then Spacebar Preview. So anytime on your Mac that you want to see something, see the document, see what's inside it without actually opening it, just click it and click the spacebar. It'll open it up and put the preview right in front of you. And then the iOS sharing. So go tap that share button and look at all the different apps that you can share that item with on your iOS devices. All right, and so I just wanted to give a shout out to someone in the chat room. Someone said, I second that. Mac Geek Gab rocks, and their partner podcast through the Mac Observer brand. So I agree. So this was when we were talking about Mac Geek Gab and the other podcasts that I really like. They are, I think I might have to say they're one of my favorites, maybe my top 2 podcasts that I look forward to each week. So Mac Geek Gab, definitely go and check them out. You know, I like supporting especially other Apple podcasts. So Mac Geek Gab, so that's fun. Someone in the chat room likes them as well. So I can already tell you guys are kind of in this Apple ecosystem because you're listening to the same exact podcast I am. So that is going to do it for the shortcuts. Again, remember, if you guys want to support the show, if you guys want to support the Uyghur Tech Scholarship Fund, which is basically it promotes the technology on the show and supports the show, it's through Amazon. So if you ever buy anything through Amazon, it's as easy as going to WiegerTech, W-I-E-G-E-R, tech.com/Amazon. And you won't even notice. That'll just take you right over to Amazon. And then pretty much anything you order will give me credit. So just saying I sent you over there. So it doesn't cost you anymore, but I get a very, very small percentage of all the orders that go through. So every time you go to Amazon, you can even just put it in your bookmarks. Use that new bookmark tool I showed you. WiegerTech.com/Amazon. Just go there. Instead of typing in Amazon.com, just type in that. And then you will be supporting WiegerTech without spending anything. Well, you're buying products, so whatever you buy on Amazon, but without adding anything to your cost, you will be supporting WiegerTech. Also, if you want to, you can head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/WiegerTech. That is for if you guys want to support this show on a monthly basis. I would love it. Love my patrons. Thank you to you guys out there to support me, that support me right now on there. I would love it if you guys checked that out. So that's really it for tonight's show. Again, a big thank you to Roger over at WLMN Radio. He is fantastic. He has helped me develop this show and get it going, and he's given me tools and applications to help me out. So just a great, great guy over there running WLMNradio.com. Remember that all of my show is streamed there throughout the week. And so it's streamed live right now and then is also streamed during the week, and as well as a lot of other great tech talent, a lot of great tech talk. So be sure to head on over to WLMNradio.com. Again, if you guys want to contact me, Mike@WiegerTech.com, WiegerTech on Twitter, and I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Head on over to OMNpodcast.com, click that subscribe button so you guys can get this show into your podcast reader whenever you want. So I am Mike Wieger, and I will see you guys next time. But of course, until I do, tech on.